In just a few minutes, you'll know exactly how to get your real ID in Illinois, eliminating any confusion and ensuring you're fully prepared with everything you need. So diving right into this explainer, I know navigating government requirements can sometimes feel like, well, trying to solve a puzzle in the dark, but it really doesn't have to be that way. We're going to break down the entire process from start to finish, using clear, actionable steps straight from the official Illinois Secretary of State resources. By the end of this, you are going to be a real ID expert.
Okay, let's figure out if you even need to go through this whole process or if you're actually already set. A lot of folks assume that literally everyone must rush out and grab one of these new cards, but that's a pretty common misconception. Depending on your lifestyle and how you travel, you might be perfectly fine sticking with what's already sitting in your wallet.
Here is our 5-step roadmap to get you completely prepared. We're looking at why you might need a real ID, exactly how to gather your required documents, what that in-person application process looks like, all the details on fees and timelines, and finally, troubleshooting some common issues.
So, let's start right at the beginning. Why get a real ID?
Think of it like this. Your standard ID? That's completely valid for everyday Illinois driving, voting, buying age-restricted items, or just opening a bank account. But the real ID is specifically engineered for high-security federal checkpoints. Starting May 7th, 2025, you are going to need a federally compliant ID to board any domestic flights within the U.S. or to get into secure federal facilities, places like military bases or certain courthouses.
So the very first thing you should do, like right now, is grab your current driver's license or state ID and take a look at the top right corner. Do you see a little gold star icon sitting right there? If so, congratulations, you actually already have a real ID. You've met the federal guidelines and you are fully cleared for takeoff.
But what if you don't have that star? Well, if you frequently travel with a valid, unexpired U.S. passport or a passport card, you can literally just use that for your domestic flights. Passports are fully TSA approved. If you fall into this category and you really don't mind carrying your passport to the airport, you can just entirely skip getting a real ID. Your standard license covers the driving, and your passport handles the flying.
All right, moving on to step 2, gathering your required documents and mastering what we call the Rule of 4.
This is the absolute most crucial part. You've got to satisfy 4 strict categories to prove your eligibility. First up, you bring one proof of identity. Think a certified U.S. birth certificate or your passport. Second, you need one proof of your Social Security number, so maybe your actual Social Security card, a W-2, or a pay stub that shows the full 9 digits. Third, and definitely pay attention to this one, you need 2 distinct proofs of Illinois residency that show your current address. And finally, you need one document that proves your written signature. That could be a canceled check, a signed credit card, or just your current standard Illinois ID.
Now, listen closely to this next rule, because it honestly causes the most headaches. Do not bring photocopies, and whatever you do, do not pull up digital screenshots on your smartphone. The facility will automatically reject them. The federal guidelines are incredibly strict here. You have to bring your physical, original documents or certified copies that have that raised seal from the issuing agency. Don't worry, you will get them all back, but the originals absolutely must be presented.
Also, there's a very specific trick to proving your residency. When you bring in those 2 proofs of Illinois residency, like your utility bills or bank statements, they've got to be dated within the last 90 days. On top of that, your 2 bills must be from 2 completely different companies. So, bringing a gas bill and an electric bill? Perfect. Bringing 2 statements from the exact same utility company? Yeah, that's not going to work. And remember, they have to show a physical address. P.O. boxes are an absolute no-go.
Okay, you've got your documents. Step 3, the in-person application process, which brings us to the new Skip the Line program.
See that number? 44. That is the number of the busiest DMVs in Illinois, including all the Chicago and suburban locations that now absolutely require an appointment. It's part of the new Skip the Line program, and this is actually fantastic news for you. It completely eliminates those unpredictable hours-long wait times that, let's be honest, used to make these visits a total nightmare.
The entire in-person process is wonderfully streamlined now. You just hop online to ilsos.gov, or you can call ahead to book your time slot. You arrive, bypass all the general chaos by checking in for your specific appointment, hand over your verified original documents for scanning, smile for your brand new photograph, and walk right out the door with your temporary paper ID in hand. Simple as that.
Next up, step 4. Let's talk about the fees, timelines, and tracking. Basically, what is this going to cost you out of pocket?
Surprisingly, getting a real ID doesn't come with some massive premium. It costs exactly $30, which is the exact same price as a standard driver's license renewal in Illinois. No hidden real ID surcharge. Now, if you are simply upgrading to a real ID early, like before your normal license expiration date, there is a standard $5 duplicate fee that applies, and you can usually just pay this with cash, checks, or major credit cards right there at the counter.
As for the timeline, Illinois uses a highly secure central issuance process. What that means is the facility does not print the hard plastic card right then and there. Instead, you'll get a temporary secure paper document on the spot before you leave. Then, your permanent hard plastic real ID, the one with the gold star, will securely arrive in your home mailbox in about 10 to 15 business days, so roughly 2 to 3 weeks.
Now here is a massive pro tip pulled directly from the official sources that you absolutely need to know. If you happen to be flying immediately after your appointment while you're still waiting on the mail, the TSA will not accept that temporary paper ID all by itself. No way. To get through airport security, you must present the temporary paper ID alongside your old hole-punched ID that the DMV gives back to you. You got to keep them both together.
All right, wrapping things up with Step 5, troubleshooting and avoiding common pitfalls. The absolute biggest roadblock people hit is a name mismatch. If your current legal name doesn't match the name printed on your birth certificate, say because of marriage or divorce, you must bring the legal paper trail, like a certified marriage certificate, to connect the dots. Otherwise, your application will just get stalled out. Also, if you aren't eligible for a Social Security number, you're not locked out. You just need to bring an official ineligibility letter directly from the Social Security Administration. It's also super important to note that real IDs do require documented lawful status. But for undocumented residents, Illinois proudly offers standard driver's licenses. These are marked with the phrase, "Federal limits apply." And while they absolutely cannot be used to board an airplane or enter a federal facility, they are perfectly valid and completely legal for everyday driving on Illinois roads. And here is a pretty fascinating safety net that was recently introduced for folks who might somehow miss the memo. Starting in February 2026, if you just happen to show up to the airport for a domestic flight without a real ID or a passport, the TSA introduced a new $45 identity verification fee. This essentially gives you a secondary screening option to get through security rather than just forcing you to miss your flight and turning you away at the gate. Good to know, right? Just as a quick professional disclaimer before we finish up here, we all know that government policies, accepted document lists, and fee structures can, and do, occasionally update. So definitely use this explainer as your primary roadmap, but always double-check the official Illinois Secretary of State resources at realid.ilsos.gov to ensure you have the absolute latest details before you back out of your driveway. So, think about your upcoming travel plans, your daily schedule, and honestly, what's sitting in your wallet right now. Take a second to look for that gold star. The choice is entirely yours, but I have to ask, are you really willing to risk missing your flight just over missing paperwork? Take 5 minutes today to check your documents, and I promise you'll thank yourself later at the terminal. Thanks so much for exploring this with me.